boxing,
beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
How did Rolly Romero become the full welterweight champion when he beat Ryan Garcia June this year, when Shakram Gisayov became the mandatory challenger around April before Rolly fought Ryan? Around this time, Gisayov beat some no-name guy who I've never heard of to solidify his position, and he took step aside to let Boots unify against Stanionis. Now, I'm on BoxRec and I know they don't mess with the WBA, but are they trying to mess up the WBA's records, or are they correct here? Gisayov was fighting 10-rounders in these interim or regular title fights he was having. What's going on?
The WBA, they've turned into the biggest joke.
How did Rolly get to become full champion before the mandatory challenger, the interim champion?
The WBA, they've turned into the biggest joke.
And then the PBC are trying to make all these fights. Rolly versus Pacquiao, who lost his last fight. And now they're talking about giving Gisayov some step-aside deal. Eddie has options on Gisayov. And I'm sure Eddie's not going to let him take any less than $1 million step-aside. If you guys think that Rolly versus Pacquiao is some big pay-per-view blockbuster, pay the man. Or here's a novel idea. Why don't Rolly just fight his mandatory and the PBC do things normal for once? Has anyone told Al that Pacquiao hasn't won a fight since 2019?
That shit is whack.
They've got it all planned out, you get what I'm saying? Like, they're trying to reschedule it for January and they're going to make Fundora versus Thurman the chief support to Pacquiao versus Rolly. Fundora pulled out of the October fight with Thurman because of a hand injury.
Don't believe it.
And they're going to serve it up for $80 across the pond. And it's just the PBC going into 2026. Same old, same old, same old, same old. Fundora Thurman cancelled. Most believe the tickets weren't selling. Fulton versus Foster, what was supposed to be on the undercard of Fundora versus Thurman, that's disappeared totally. I don't see them putting that on the card with Fundora Thurman, Rolly and Pacquiao. That fight might be gone to the boneyard because not even they, I don't believe, would put that out as a standout pay-per-view, even though it's a very good fight. So is that it for the PBC for 2025? I don't think they've got anything else on.
boxing,
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Okay, it's been confirmed that Ben Whittaker will make his Matchroom debut against the 19-1 German Benjamin Gavazzi for the WBC Silver Light Heavyweight title on November the 29th in Birmingham, live on DAZN. So they're going to go the WBC route, possibly the winner out of Benavidez and Yard. Later on next year, perhaps, 2027, I would say the latest, if Ben can keep winning. He is 28 years of age. They have to do a little fast tracking. So he's got next year to make good and get himself in them positions to fight for that WBC title. Now, his German opponent with a 19-1-0 record, the loss was on his debut to Rostam Ibrahim over 4 rounds. That was in 2018. But since then, he's compiled 19 victories, 13 of which have losing records. Now the criticism is going to come fast and heavy because Ben Whittaker is the polarizing new signing for Matchroom, but Ben's got to grow thick skin. The ends are going to have to justify the means. They're going after a belt that could lead to a world title within 3 fights or whatever it takes. Yes, the criticism is going to come thick, fast and heavy, but Ben needs to do a professional job and he needs to look good. He needs to look good. He needs to handle whatever pressure the fans, the media bring. You got to handle it. This is the promotional outlet he wanted to be on. He needs to show us what he's got.
Show him what you got.
Ben right now is working to a game plan. This WBC silver belt is the same belt that Dillian Whyte and others have had on their route to fighting for the WBC title. It's not Ben's job to answer questions about the opponents. It's Ben's job to fight the opponents put in front of him and work his way through to that title. That's his job. Ben's job is to go in there, win, and look good. He's accountable for that. The opponents, well, Eddie Hearn will answer the media and the fans about that. The WBC, ask the WBC why they put up this German guy. The truth is no one really fights no killers to fight for world titles, and it's not a new thing.
Nothing new. They're not saying nothing new.
So he's got the WBC belt, try and work his way into a shot or an eliminator. You go from there. If Ben is looking good, disposing of this guy, then the next guy then gets his title shot, Why should he care? He's done his job. His job is to win and look good. Now, if it doesn't go to plan, then yeah, he's going to get loads, and he knows he's going to get loads. He's going to get loads anyway. People are going to look at the signing promo, the Jerry Maguire video takeoff, and all the hype that came with that, and now you're fighting this guy. So they're going to get loads. But, you know, got to stick to the game plan as best they can. Got to ride it out. And I'm not sure if Ben has the thickest skin to deal with it. But he's a grown man now. He's a silver medalist. He's been through the media fan crisis with the Liam Cameron fight. Been there. Done that. Move on.
Let us move on.
Look, man, I like the party. I like the process. Hopefully there's a big fuck-off crowd there at Birmingham. I don't care if they turn up to cheer him on or to jeer. Big crowd. Put your city on the map. Let's go. November the 29th. Matchroom have invested a lot in the kid. It's his Matchroom debut. He's only had 10 fights, but he is 28 years of age. I would like to see him beat one of his domestic rivals or a top 10 opponent before he fights for a world title. No doubt about that. But then again, Boots beat somebody who was ranked in all three sanctioning bodies top 10. And all he's got is stick. So boxing fans are a little shitty. Let's keep it real. Work to the game plan. Whoever they put in front of you, Ben has to deal with and look good.
I hope the showboating goes.
I don't.
Oh, I do.
Why? We want characters.
We want fighters.
Yeah, but he's a fighter. Well, the question about him is how far can he go? He's entertainment. The reason why Ben Whittaker is a commodity that people really are attracted to is two things. He threw his silver medal in the bin because he didn't go there to win a silver medal. He went there to win a gold, which I admired. And because he's got some real talent and he can showcase it in a way that engages people and divides people in equal measure. You know, Prince Nazim Hamid was the same, but the talent was inevitably there and it kept on showing itself. The questions about Ben Whittaker in this day and age, because we do live in a society that ultimately gives no one a dispensation, we are criticising him for some reason rather than praising the fact that he's something different. He's something engaging. You know, he's something entertaining. And the fighters themselves have not been offended by showboating. So people sitting outside the ring being offended by it, I've never understood. It's entertainment.
It's just strange, like, to come out covering boxing on radio at a time when we have one male world champion in Britain. One. People are complaining that small hall boxing is dead on its feet because a lot of the headline fights are now perhaps on the undercard of, let's say, AJ Fury or Bivol Beterbiev over Riyadh. We're not developing the prospects as quick as they need to be developed. And there's one kid who's a little flashy, showboats, has potential to put bums on seats and get a lot of people, call them casuals or the crossover market, interested in boxing. And then, no, I don't want that. It just seems weird. It just seems really weird. At this trajectory, you might not be covering boxing in a couple of years. Somebody was saying the other day, AJ or Fury haven't fought for over a year. And they're saying it's one of the deadest years in British boxing. Eubank, Ben, one aside. Even though a lot of people were saying that was a gimmicky fight. But at the end of the day, that was show business. And that's why it filled out a stadium. That's why it did the pay-per-view numbers it did. Now, if this was like 2021 when both AJ and Fury had titles, and I'm going to make a little made-up scenario. Let's say AJ had the 3 titles, Fury had the WBC title. Let's say Froch was still around and he had a title. Let's say Brook was still around and he had a title. There probably wouldn't be no room for Eubank and Ben. Eubank and Ben are thriving in a period where UK boxing is struggling. We need stars. We don't need a whole load of trash talkers and showboaters. But 1 or 2 is fine. Like Willie Hutchinson is a potential opponent for Ben before either of them go for a world title. That'd be a great fight for that WBC silver belt. Great fight. Queensbury versus Matchroom. Be a great fight. He talks a lot of shit. Maybe he needs to tone down the obscenities, Willie. But he talks a lot of shit. He showboats. That would be some great entertainment for British boxing. We need that.
Boxing
Beats and rhymes.
no one can do it better.
So, Johnny Fisher is hooked up with Tony Sims. He's left Mark Tibbs. He returns to the ring after getting smashed to pieces by Dave Allen in May. His opponent is Herbert Matovu from Uganda, with a record of 9-1 0-8 inside the distance. Can't vouch for the level of opposition he's faced. The one time he stepped out of his wheelhouse and fought Umar Salamov in Russia, he was knocked out in 2. So, looks like a nice easy one perhaps for Johnny, but we'll see. Sean McComb He takes on Hugo Micallef, actually a fighter from Monaco. I don't know too many professional boxers from Monaco. He's got a good looking record statistically, but, you know, Sean should cruise through this one. Now, one fight I'm really looking forward to is Beatriz Ferreira versus Elif Turhan. For Beatriz's IBF lightweight title. Beatriz from Brazil is 8-0-0 with 2 inside the distance. A really good champion. And the Turkish lass, Elif Turhan, 11 wins, 0 losses, 0 draws, 7 inside the distance. She can handle herself for definite. One of the bigger punching women boxers I've seen in a minute. That's a really good fight. And then we have the British title fight. The underrated 16-3-1 Conor Walker. 7 wins inside the distance. The British champion. 30 years of age. He takes on the amateur standout Peter McCormack. Also 30 years of age. Also taller than the 5'8" that he's registered. 8 wins, no losses, no draws, 6 inside the distance. Boxed an excellent fight last time out against Miguel Parra, who took the current WBA interim mandatory #1 challenger Shakram GIYASOV to a split decision July last year. I predicted Pat to box his ears off, and that's exactly what Pat did. He retired at the end of round 9. So this is a really good fight. But Conor Walker is as tough as any boxer plying their trade right now. How good is Conor Walker? Well, in my eyes, he beat the current IBF 147-pound world champion, Lee Croker. Just didn't get the decision. Do not sleep on this fight. It's a very good matchup. We got Shabaz Masoud headlining. 14 wins, 0 losses, 0 draws, 4 inside the distance. He's the current European and IBO World Super Bantamweight champion. He takes on Peter McGrail, the Liverpudlian. 12 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 6 inside the distance. He was also a very good amateur, and he's got his career back on track after that loss in America. There should be some really good boxing in that fight. They're both very good boxers. This card might be a little underrated, but if you take my word on what could be a good evening's boxing, trust me on this one. I'm not sure how Masoud versus McGrail is the headliner above McCormack and Conor Walker, though. I'm not sure about that, but who cares?
Boxing
Beats and rhymes.
no one can do it better.
You know what Frank Warren's going to say? He's going to say, you know what it is? That's karma. That's karma. Do me a favor. So, despite knowing that Fabio Wardley was going to fight Joseph Parker on the 25th of October at the O2 Arena, the BBC and Ben Shalom still went ahead and announced Frazer Clarke versus Jamie TKV for the vacant British heavyweight title on the same night. Frank Warren couldn't understand why they would do this, seeing as they only have 4 fight dates for the year. Why pick that date there? There's so many dates they could have picked. Now, I believe they tried to sabotage Frank's event. Personally, Ben Shalom originally had the fight penciled in for the 31st of September, and then moved the date to the same day as Frank Warren's, putting the card on free-to-air terrestrial television with the reach that the BBC has compared to a pay-per-view event on DAZN. It's a one-sided win for BBC in terms of viewership numbers. Now, a few people are reporting on social media that TKV has been injured and the fight is now in doubt. I'm not surprised this happened, because TKV didn't want this fight. TKV wanted to fight Dave Allen, and I think he would have took the fight whether the British title was on the line or not. The incentive for Dave Allen was to fight for the British title. That's the one that meant the most to him, and I believe it had a very sentimental value for his dad. So Dave moved on to Makhloumov. But Ben Shalom went to the board and put Frazer Clarke's name forward to fight Jamie TKV for the vacant title. Jamie was in line anyway after the controversial ending to his fight with David Adelaide for the same title. The board reviewed it and they went with Frazer Clarke. Can't argue with the decision. Frazer's already beat Dave Allen. I don't know how much Jamie is getting paid to fight Frazer, because they said the budgets were a lot less than what Ben was working with at Sky. Perhaps Jamie was getting paid more to fight Dave Allen than what Ben was offering him to fight Frazer Clarke. I have a feeling Frazer was getting the higher end of the split, perhaps because he's the more popular choice for boxer, or he may have been higher up in the rankings than Jamie. Ben Shalom can't get a break, huh? So what happens to the card? Does it get cancelled? Do they find Frazer another opponent? I think they need to find Frazer another opponent. I mean, Frazer's pro career hasn't really got going. He's had the 1 round victory in April against Ebenezer Tete since he got his jaw broken by Fabio Wardley. The inactivity not going to do him any good at 34 years of age. He needs to get a move on. So what are they going to do? Are they going to salvage the card? You also got Fran Hennessy. She's probably been inactive for a while now, like most of the boxer fighters. She was supposed to be on the co-main. Frazer voiced his displeasure, or should I say his frustration, at Dave Allen's popularity. Him and Makhmudov. Makhmudov is now talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. I had the volume off, but apparently the DAZN pundits were saying that Dave Allen, after losing to Makhmudov, could still fight for the British title and win the British title. So Frazer's seeing that thinking, wait there, I'll stop this guy in 6 and you're talking about he could beat me? And he said, as long as there's a hole in his ass, he's not beating me. My God, Frazer. I mean, Frazer could have phrased that a little better, I'm sure. And he said if it's a popularity contest, that Dave Allen eclipses him. When it comes to being popular, when it comes to being one of the boys, one of the fans, he eclipses Frazer. But guess what? This isn't that. This is fighting. Popularity contest, 1-0 Dave Allen. Fighting, Frazer says he wins every time. Simple as that. I'll tell you what, this is not a good period for Ben Shalom. You add this to the purse bids that haven't been competed for the likes of Callum Simpson and Chris Billiam Smith in recent weeks, and you think surely more fighters are going to be out of there soon. Frazer spoke about pledging his loyalty to Ben Shalom because boxers showed him loyalty. Let's hope that loyalty doesn't turn to resentment, because it's a short career being a boxer, and at 34 Frazer doesn't have time to fuck about.
Time is running out. Time is running out.